Hey everyone, this is Mark from Stocks and Cash. It is Wednesday, March 27th, 2018. Here with your market update video. I'll talk about my holdings, and that's going to be about it for tonight. Kind of a quick video. And I'm also not going to make one tomorrow night. Got some personal things going on. So I will be back on Sunday to have a video for Monday's market session. But I am not going to be making anything for tomorrow. So let's jump right in, take a look at the SPY. So the SPY kind of tricked some people today, in my opinion. We had a gap up yesterday that we talked about. You know, we closed above the high of the previous day candle. Today we opened up higher and we pushed above the EMA slightly, but then we ended up getting smacked down and we kind of retested the lows, or we broke the lows of Monday's candle. Now we didn't come down and retest the lows of Friday, and there is still support here at 257.55. But you can see that we are still in this downtrend. We haven't broken out of it yet. So if I go from this candle here, if I use that candle as an example, we're below that trend. But even if, well, I guess if we use this, we sort of came out of it today with the open, but you know, we closed below it. So we're still in this downtrend. We're still, you know, looking kind of bearish. You know, stochastics are trying to come back up. They're still oversold, but you know, as we've seen here, they can stay in this oversold territory. MACD is still looking very bearish. RSI is starting to point back down again. So you know, this is kind of reminiscent, to this downward bearish candle here on the 5th of February. We opened up low and then we shot up. We had a doji gravestone type candle and then a huge bearish candle that closed below the low of this candle on 2/6. Now again, it's not exactly the same, but we had a very, you know, bearish candle. We had a huge gap up, and then we got smacked down again and had this bearish engulfing candle, meaning that the open was higher than the body of this white candle and the close was lower than the body of this candle. So basically the body of this black candle is bigger than the body of this candle, and it engulfs it in the sense that it's above it and below it, if that makes sense. So volume wasn't as strong today as it has been in the last couple days, but still relatively strong. If we look at a wider view here, you know, this is still pretty strong volume. You can see my line here. It's still above most of the volume ticks each day. So where do we go tomorrow? Well, you know, who knows, really. I said here on this candle I was expecting a doji. We didn't get it, you know, before reversing up, to have some confidence in a reversal. Maybe tomorrow we get a doji. Maybe we come down and test these levels. Maybe we really push down and test 253, although that, you know, that's a $7 move pretty much from where we closed. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to, whoops. Oh boy, sorry about that. So I'm not exactly sure, you know, if we push down through this level, you know, maybe we bounce here, but again, that's a 7-point move from here, although maybe we gap down and it's only a 5-point move or so to test these lows again, get a doji type candle, and then be on our way back up potentially. But you know, there is still a lot of concern in my mind technically in this chart until we kind of break through here. I mean, we still need to get above the 8 exponential moving average. You can see that we've already crossed the 100 simple, and the 21 and the 55 are also coming close to crossing the 100. So you know, we're getting a lot of bearish sentiment here. The other thing to look at, good grief, I apologize. Sorry about that. Anyway, the other thing to look at is that we are kind of making this slight bullish type pattern here. It's almost like a bearish flag type pattern. You know, we have this type of pattern going on, and these can tend to break out bearishly, although the candles are much bigger than normal. on these types of patterns. But you know, volume is descending. It does kind of form this little pennant type pattern, and they can break bearishly. So, you know, I don't know. I really don't know where the market's going to go from here. We're kind of in no man's land. You know, we closed above support, but we're obviously well below resistance, which could be considered at 265. So there, you know, your guess is as good as mine as where this is going tomorrow. But I'm not in too many, well, I'm not in any positions, honestly, other than Facebook, and we'll talk about that shortly. But, you know, the market is not looking very strong right now. And let's take a look at the MACD here. So we are still kind of above the MACD, where the low of the MACD was. We're kind of at it right now. So it'll be interesting to see if we break that level or if we bounce off of it, so to speak, and start kind of turning up like we did back here. Back on 213, but you know, at that point the rally had kind of already begun. You know, we had the doji, and then we kind of gapped up and put in another doji type candle. We had a nice white candle and a nice big bullish candle here. That kind of set the precedent. Now what we're having is bearish candle, bullish candle, bearish candle. You know, maybe we'll gap up tomorrow, but I highly doubt it's going to be as big as what we saw on Monday. You know, if anything, for a bullish push, it'd be nice if we kind of gapped down to this 257 level and then bounced off of there and started running up again. Sometimes a gap up can cause people to what's called fade the gap and push this thing lower and then break these lows, and who knows where we go from there. So and of course, you know, we could run up like we did on Monday. So there's a lot of different options, but right now things are looking kind of I don't want to say grim, but they're looking a little like you want to be cautious in your trades. I mean, volatility is obviously up, as you can see based on the last few trading days. So, you know, you got to exercise caution and be very confident with your trades and know when to get out so you don't get crushed on them. That's pretty much all I have to say about the SPY. Let's take a look at the Qs, which got equally beaten down today and is kind of in a similar pattern to the SPY, although volume was much stronger on the Q sell-off, largely in part due to NVDA, which had a big sell-off today, which of course I was in yesterday, but we'll talk about that shortly. Yeah, so the Qs opened up high and pretty much just kind of sold off for most of the day. We closed, well, we reached below this ascending trend line. We've closed below it before, but we you know, kind of went below it, but we bounced and we kind of closed right on it. So we're still seeing support here from the ascending trend line. We are kind of oversold here. That being said, you know, we can live in the oversold territories, as you can see up here, just as we can live in the overbought territory and still make moves continuing higher. So too could we continue lower here. So still in an uptrend on the Qs long term, but short term you can see that we are in a downtrend. So tomorrow, I mean, I thought Monday was pretty telling that, hey, we looks like we want to start rebounding, and then we got smacked down. So is tomorrow a day where we put in a doji potentially to truly, hopefully, start a rally, or do we kind of put in more bearish candles, you know, where we're closing black candles, you know, towards the low of the days, and start pushing back towards these levels here? You know, it'll be interesting to see. But these fib lines that I drew, you know, from this swing to this swing, our first target was met on Friday. It was touched again today, and it'll be interesting to see if we come back down and touch the target of 153.73, which would coincide with this very big bearish candle from 2.8. So again, I'm not bullish or bearish right now. We are at support again, so it's a potential opportunity to buy if you're feeling confident. But Um, you know, the indicators are pointing downward. We're starting to get close to crossing over the 100 simple moving average on the Qs as well. So, you know, I would exercise caution at buying at this point until we see some some buyers come in and really start to, um, you know, have some confidence in a bullish reversal move. You know, as I mentioned yesterday, there are still some gaps to be filled here at 263 level. I'm sorry, 266 or so level, and then back up here for sure at the 170 or so level, 170, 171 almost. So let's take a look at NVDA. Awful day today. It had some news about, I think, driverless cars and that they're going to stop testing. I think probably in part due to what happened in Arizona with you know, the unfortunate incident of someone getting killed from a unmanned vehicle, essentially a driverless car. Whatever the case was, we had a very large sell-off today. We hit my target of 250. It was such a quick touch that I wasn't able to get out of it. Let's look at the daily chart. So here we are on the open. 9:30, we got to close above it. 9:35, came up and touched the 250 or so level. I think the high was exactly at 250. Then we kind of came down, and once we broke this low here, I cut my losses and got out. Oh, sorry, it was not here. It was on this candle here. You know, I gave it some time because this was the high of yesterday. I let it come down and touch that. It broke. You know, it came down here, had a big bearish candle that was looking a little concerning. We had a doji I thought we might bounce, and then when we closed below here, I took my losses for, you know, minimal loss really, around 5, 6, 7% or so. And you can see that was very lucky for me because we had a huge, horrible sell-off for the rest of the day. Quite a strong bullish candle on the you know, last 10 minutes, and then kind of a bearish candle on the last 5 minutes. So NVIDIA, rough day for it. Happy I got out of that trade. And let's take a look at this trend line. See if we can put something together here. You know, I mean, we penetrated the trend line, but we didn't close below it, and we closed a little ways above it. So it'll be interesting to see if this trend line acts as support or if NVIDIA rolls over and through that trend line. But clearly volume was very strong, selling was very strong. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some more selling tomorrow, but I do not plan to short NVIDIA at this time. Now, there's no way we would have known that this type of sell-off would happen. That being said, we had some indication that some sort of sell-off could be happening with this bearish divergence that I pointed out yesterday. And this big bearish candle kind of helped to you know, prove that theory to be true. Now, I wasn't necessarily saying that tomorrow was going to be, or today rather, was going to be that huge sell-off, but you know, I would have assumed that gradually we would start coming down. But again, it was a big sell-off. Potentially we'll see more. Maybe we come down and test this low here. Remains to be seen. But or maybe we even fill this gap back here at the 200 level. It just depends how the market behaves and what sellers are coming in. Well, I shouldn't say sellers coming in, but what sellers are, you know, bailing on their shares of NVIDIA. So let's take a look at Facebook. This is the last thing I'm going to cover for tonight. Facebook had an interesting day. It came up and it didn't quite touch the 8 EMA. Let's take a look at the daily on it. Tuesday started here. This is our open. We opened from the lows of yesterday, and then we had a very strong bullish candle in the 5-minute. We closed above it, came down a bit, had a hammer type candle, and then rallied again at 10 o'clock, and then all of a sudden we decided to sell off again. And I was in the hallways and saw some talkings about Facebook and all the troubles they were having and collecting text and phone call data from its users. So that's really bad news. And so on top of closing below this candle here, our open candle, this is where we closed below. I got out on this, well, really on this candle. We came back up here, and then when we got below this candle again on here, I ended up shorting, and I'm in a pretty decent profit right now. Pretty much made up the loss from being in Facebook yesterday, so kind of about even on Facebook overall. So again, it'll be interesting to see what happens on Facebook and what happens in the overall market in general. I wouldn't be surprised if markets and Facebook and other stocks go and retest their recent lows. And in the case of Facebook, that'd be around 149 or so. Maybe it comes down and tests this 147.76 level potentially. It'll be interesting to see. But, this is where we're at right now with an ugly bearish candle. Facebook's obviously in a downturn. It's certainly oversold, but again, we can live down here for quite some time, although the RSI is extremely oversold. That's the lowest it's been in, well, the last 3 years. So could there be more downside? Certainly. I think more likely we'll probably see some sideways movement, if anything, if we take another leg down. Maybe we have some. Maybe we start this like pennant pattern type thing. You can see this, what I pointed out on the SPY sort of happened here. I guess this isn't the greatest example, but we kind of had this type of pattern here. I'm drawing the close of this candle, and the wick of this candle, and then the bottom wick, and close of this candle, to kind of draw that little pennant, and then boom, we kind of sold off from there. So, and you can see volume was declining as well. I mean, certainly it declined on this move too, but that was a bigger move down. It's just something to watch out for. It doesn't always happen, but typically when you get these little breaks, these little flag patterns or pennant patterns, whatever you want to call them, when they start breaking down, they can kind of run. So. Again, I do think there's probably a little more a little more downside on Facebook before we do get a bounce. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we come down and test this 149 level. Obviously, it remains to be seen. Volume's obviously been wild on Facebook since the news broke about what they've been doing. So, and look at the MACD. I mean, look at these indicators. The MACD is minus 5.5. That's way below what it's been in the last 3 years. Again, RSI is extremely oversold, although stochastics still have room to go down. So, we have come all the way down to 6 approximately. We're currently at 13. So, certainly some more downside on the stochastics. And I think if we had a more bearish candle like this, a little less a wicky type candle, I think Stokes could even go down further. So. Again, I at least think we'll come down and retest this level here. The 149, maybe we retest, or maybe we actually touch and test this 147.76 level. Remains to be seen, but markets are volatile right now. Stick to your trading plan. If your plan says, I want to be in cash on these volatile moves, then get into cash. If you're more confident and can make some good profit day trading these swings, which there's a lot of money to be made in these swings, have at that as well. Play to your strengths and make sure you keep your risk as small as possible. Know where to get into your trade and get out of your trade. Make sure you have a plan. That about wraps it up for tonight. Again, I won't be around tomorrow, but I certainly will be back on Sunday to have a market update for Monday's open. So. Hope you all have a great weekend. Happy Easter to those who celebrate it, and good luck trading tomorrow.